Hi, I'm Dr. Ruth Anderson, founder of Enlightened World, and I am so excited to be with Linda Dierks today. And Linda just published her very first book. It's a handbook. It's called Quiet Mind: How to Create Freedom from Depression and Anxiety. So let me introduce to you Linda Dierks. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Ruth. It's so wonderful to be doing this with you again.
I am so pleased to be here with you. And today marks the day that Amazon launched your book. So I know for you, this has been a really long journey of living what the book is about and then helping give people the solutions to what you were living. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, Quiet Mind, and what led you to this place of writing it for other folks to learn from?
Oh, gee, where to start, Ruth? I went through a period in my life that I refer to as the dark ages, and I want to put a positive spin on this because ultimately it was one of the greatest awakenings of my life. But I was extremely sick. I was battling with depression. I had lost my identity, my sanity. I was out of work for years. I lost all my money, and then I had breast cancer. And coming through all of this process, I fell into almost like a PTSD process. And I had never thought a great deal about alternative healing and the power that I had innately within myself to heal myself until I was faced with a situation where I was completely out of the reach of Western medicine. So I was forced to take a look and realize that I had to take a really hard look at my life and what could I do to make myself healthy. So I started studying really rather complex processes of quantum mechanics and neuro-linguistic programming, neuroplasticity, and I read Dispenza and Braden and Louise Hay and Bruce Lipton. And I started practicing all of these things. And it was just the most amazing thing in my life to see how my life could change. And over the time that I've even known you, just these great expressions of realization and joy and higher awareness, and just more than anything, just great joy and great health in my life. And I said, wow, this really works. Now, how can I take my personal experience and put it into simple language and very simple practices and put it out there for the ordinary guy? I think too many people are faced with a lot of literature, a lot of complex things, and there's that disconnect of how do I incorporate this into my life? And it all seems so daunting when really, it really isn't that difficult. It's just a personal pact with yourself of patience and persistence. And when you start seeing those changes occurring, it's not an overnight fix, but it just gradually continues to unfold so beautifully. So along with, your encouragement years ago and other people that I've worked with, I've had lovely mentors, and it's been what I call like a marble in a groove. It's been, my purpose to step into this. And I was published in a couple of magazines, in the Chopra newsletter, and it just seemed logical to put this book together. It was one of those projects that just took on a life of its own. I know that you've experienced the same thing, haven't you, when a project takes on its own life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things, Linda, that I really think is brilliant about you, and you call it a handbook, but so many books are like 250, 300 pages. Yours is about 50 pages. And I think when you're really in the throes of the anxiety and the depression, to look at a 300-page book would probably just seem insurmountable. So to be able to have this shortened version of, let me just tell you what you need to know to survive, right? It's like bullet points surrounded by a hug is the only way, is how I see your book.
Surrounded by a hug. That actually was by design. Because if I look at a book and it is 300 pages and it's daunting, uh, it's just going to be daunting. So to look at a book, this is specifically put together with just my history, my background, and then bullet points in 4 different categories. So it's not the type of book where you're going to read it and walk away with a couple of key concepts that you might incorporate into your life. This book is intended to be a daily guide that you're going to revisit again and again and again, because as you incorporate these practices, your skill level rises and your awareness rises, and you go back and you say, oh, I want a little bit more. I want to be a little bit better. How can I fine tune what I'm doing? And I have to impress that it's a process of being gentle with yourself, of being compassionate, but just stacking one habit on top of the other. And as you start to see the results, you just become so inspired. So I hope that, in 5 years, everybody's book is going to look like the dog chewed it, and it's just going to have coffee ring stains on it. And it's just going to be something that sits next to your couch or next to your bed that you just keep referring back to, because it's small, it's short, it's concise. It is going to be followed up with a larger book with far more details, but this was just intended to be entry level so that people can just get the basics and become inspired with this work, the way it's really inspired me. And I love what you said about it coming with a hug, because, for those of us that work, within the divine, we know that everything is about love and joy and kindness and gentleness with ourselves. And to have a book that has language you don't understand, or practices that are difficult to incorporate. I mean, that was the whole purpose, was to bring it into simple language, simple practices. Even though they appear simple, they actually are incorporating very complex concepts, but in a very easy way. And the slightest pivot of an attitude can bring just tremendous results.
Well, and one of the things I really appreciate about your book, Linda, is that you lived this. You're not coming in from some ivory tower just saying, let me fix you. That's not it. You're coming into this saying, look, guys, I lived this, and I know somewhat of what you're going through, and I survived it, and this is how I survived it, and it might be helpful to you too. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Ruth. I think that is one of the key components to being able to inspire and motivate people to completely from my heart say, I've done this, and I know that you can do it too. Come with me. I'll show you. Come with me. Let me embrace you, and I will show you how to do this too. And like you and the work that you do, as I look back on the last 15 years of my life, and the difficult times, this book represents a lot of pain, but it represents a lot of growth. That we look back in our lives and we see how everything that happened has happened for a reason, has happened for a purpose, and that we have been maybe to a degree divinely guided, but definitely designated. I know that I have been designated from the onset to be a messenger of this truth and to carry it out to the world. And one of the biggest things on my bucket list is to take a hard look and to encourage the world to change the way they look at healthcare and their own involvement and their own self-empowerment in the process.
That's beautiful. And you're doing it, because look at you. You're published. You're on Amazon. It's really exciting. So
when this realization came to me in January, it was astounding. But it's only because I work with other wonderful people like you that I become inspired to reach to a higher level myself.
Oh, I appreciate that. So, Linda, one of my favorite things that you say is, come dance with me. You say that all the time. And I really do believe that folks that need to hear your message, if they pick up Quiet Mind, How to Create Freedom from Depression and Anxiety on Amazon, look up Linda Dierks, and it's spelled Dierks. It's actually easy to find. They're going to be able to come dance with you. And I can feel your invitation to them to come dance with you. So, Linda, thank you for taking time with us this morning. And I cannot wait to see how the launch of your book goes. So thank you for being.
We'll be in touch.
Okay, take care.